Hi guys. Oh my gosh, I'm here. Hi. The live was on and there's this hair that you're going to notice throughout the thing cuz I notice it. It's just a little out of place. So if I get distracted, that's why. Also because YouTube's camera is mirrored to me, that's going to disorient my whole coordination. So this should be funny. And it's a week for funny. We need funny this week. This week has some I don't even want to call it spicy. It's funny. I was looking at the transits for this week, compare them to next week. And this week feels like the energy of it, I'm not feeling physically. So I know it's energetic, which I'm going to then share with you guys if it's energetic. It feels energetically nauseous. And so I'm just going to put that out there. Take very good care of yourself this week. Eat really well. Take care of, I don't know why. I just feel like we should take care of like our stomachs and our anxieties and our nerves and just keep those things, as in check as we can. Stay hydrated, drink your ginger ale. I don't know why this week feels like queasy stomachy stuff. Um, had to bring that out first. Hi, I'm Crystal and Sophia. I'm an astrologer and folk magic practitioner. I'm an astrological magician, so you don't have to be. I'll just do it for you and then bring you stuff like, hey, take care of your belly this week. And my phone just went off. So you know how that goes. If you've been here before, I actually have an agreement with my guides that when there's something I need to pay attention to that comes out of my mouth or that someone else says, my phone goes off. So that just happened. So yeah, yeah, Shauna. Okay, good. I'm glad it's not just me. I have no idea where that one came from. I can tell you the transit I have associated with it, and I can tell you what days those transits are most active so we can, track it together and see how that goes. But this is something that spans a majority of the week and goes into our full moon in Aquarius. So we'll talk about it. But dang, Mars is busy this week. Mars is super busy. And I'm going to show you the chart for this one because I just want to help you feel more like you're grounded in what we're actually talking about. The best way to understand astrology is, of course, to go out and look in the night sky. And I'll show you how to proxy that based on the chart when you go outside. So that if you have a chart on your phone, even if it's a free app, you have a circular chart, you'll be able to basically find Mars in the sky based on the horizon. Then you can go out and look at Mars and be like, hey, knock it off, and see if it helps. So just any awareness for people who already know that you have maybe Mars active this year by a Time Lord technique or Aquarius or any of our fixed signs, like myself. Maybe that's why I'm feeling it so personally. If you have a fixed sign rising or in any of your angles, this is a week where we just want to take very good care because Mars is doing stuff and he's doing stuff in a crankier way. And he may be coming into our relationships, our circles, our social circles, and even into our senses of justice to do it. And of course, that's because Mars is coming into Libra. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more. We've got a whole hour to talk about it so we can take our time. We can make sure it all makes sense. We can cover any questions. We can strategize and make sure that anything that does come up this week, you won't feel like it's coming out of nowhere. You'll be like, you know what? I know how to handle this. I'm very present in the moment and I can move through this. We're not using astrology to bypass, we're using it to navigate. Right. So that is something that we can do together in the chat. If you've got questions, if I say anything and you're like, can you clarify that? Because I feel off center or off balance knowing this, and I would like to feel more grounded again. I never ever want to say something that leaves you feeling uncertain, nervous, or anxious. So if something does come up where you feel that, can you feel free, if you want to, if it's comfortable for you, feel free to share that with me and be like, hey, can you give me something to do to make that feel a little bit better? And I will. I actually will. One of my most prized skills that I have gained is actually coaching and counseling skills. Yes, I know a lot about astrology. Yes, I know a lot about folk magic. Yes, it is important to know how to deliver that information and how to apply it in a useful way so you're not just leaving people out there hanging. That's where counseling skills come in. And yes, I am certified in those as well. So let me dive into the chat here. You guys have already had a bit of a conversation, which I love to see. I actually sit here and I wait for 10 o'clock a lot of the time. I tend to to get ahead of myself in pretty much everything. And so I will read your chat and get really excited that you guys are here before before you even know I'm here. So, hi, I've been following your chat and I love what I'm reading already. So, good morning to Jenny. Good morning to Rocio. Good morning to Amber. Guys, Amber is our mod. So, Amber's going to help make sure that I cover all the questions that I can cover. Yes, and Rocio, hello, Madwin. It's good to see you. Wow, we have so many new badges that oh no, that's actually a moon. That's an emoji. Great. Thank you, Madwin. That's really cool. Let's see. Wow. Okay. Good morning to Christina, and Russ is here, and Shauna. Good morning. Okay, it looks like I may have Chrissy is here. Good morning. And Gabe. Yeah. Gabe knows as much as any of us that Mars is up to things. Knock it off. I swear. Mars and I have a close relationship because of my chart. But that doesn't mean that I don't sass Mars every once in a while. I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to go, but who knows? We'll find out. Okay. Great. It looks like I am caught up. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Echo. All right, cool. So we have the Aquarius full moon coming. What do you guys want to cover first? You want to cover the week as an overview? We can track what Mars is up to and get a little ticked off together about it, and then get into the Aquarius full moon that may bring these things even more personally into our lives. And while I'm waiting for you to tell me where you want to go with this, let me explain to you what I mean by saying that the full moon will bring things a little bit more personally into our lives. The moon, lovely as she is the closest wandering star or planet or thing in space to us. And her job in the whole schema of astrology is to translate what the other planets are saying to us here on Earth. So everything under the moon is actually considered the sublunar, below the moon sphere. And so that is us. We are the composite creation of everything that filters through the moon and then becomes form and then is below that. So everything in form on Earth is sublunar and a composite of all the components of the beings and all the other stuff that you would theoretically have the other planets contributing. Think about it as the elements of the periodic table all coming together. Source text for that would be Picatrix, which is an astrological magic grimoire that has kind of unknown authorship, but I read the translation by is it Michael? It's something John Michael Greer, right? Yes, John Michael Greer and Christopher Warnock. So you can find that. There's an illustrated version too, which I would highly recommend and has been on my Christmas list for years and one day will be on my bookshelf. So looking forward to that. Cool. So yes, the moon actually is the thing that kind of gives form to what's going on, which is why the moon is not just, as we think about it in more modern astrology, your emotions and your spirituality and stuff. Believe it or not, in ancient astrology, spirit had a place. It was the sun. So the moon was fortune and body, the physical well-being, or this, sort of incarnate experience. That was more of the moon's jurisdiction. Now the emotions come in with the humors, which the moon, of course, because they're the body, think about hormones and endorphins and all those things, the chemicals that happen and all the things that make us feel the way that we do are part of the body's function. So they do kind of fall into the moon's purview as well. Cool. Christina, I'm glad you're excited. I'm excited too. So what I'll do is I will go over the week and then we'll zoom in on the full moon in Aquarius. And as we go, any questions you have, I am here to answer them. I'm going to rely on Amber to help me keep track of questions because I can already feel that I'm running a little bit ahead of myself. So I'm going to ground in as well. Cool. Now I am going to show the chart. Is that cool with everybody? Would y'all like to see the, I'm actually going to show you a website too, which is really handy. It's a free website and I think that you might like it. Cool. Awesome. All right, here we go. I am sharing the screen. I would like to do the window. Yes, cool. I want to do this one. So this should allow me to go, yeah, you can see my tabs. So you'll see everything that I'm up to over here. So we're going to go to transitviewer.net first because it gives you a nice, lovely little calendar. You can plug in your own chart to this and it'll be like, hey, this is transiting your chart, which is really cool. The only thing I will say about this is sometimes they will give you aspects that are not perfecting yet. They're just within the orb that this website is using. So you'll want to just double check, like especially when outer planets are said to be an orb or to be close to each other. I think last month they showed a perfection between the Saturn Uranus or Saturn Neptune conjunction. And I was like, that's not a thing yet. Maybe it was the month before, but that's not a thing yet, right? But they're very close. So they considered it there. So you just got to be a little bit prudent with the way that you look at this. For this week, it's not a problem because we're working with Mars, who moves fast enough that it is actually perfecting these things. We are on the 4th of August. And we are focusing on this week here. Look at every single transit this week, and you will see Mars and Mars and Mars and Mars and Mars. And then the full moon, yay. So of the full moon, which is of course ruled by Saturn, which is opposite Mars. So Mars has a lot that Mars is doing this week. And I think the real queasy feeling that I was getting energetically is coming from the oppositions. You could make a case for this with every single one of these transits. But I think mostly it's from the oppositions between Saturn and Neptune. Saturn and Neptune, of course, are very closely conjunct each other. So if Mars is opposite Saturn, Mars is opposite Neptune. So we've got that kind of going for us. And that means that Mars, of course, then is setting off. You can see how Uranus and Pluto are involved here too. Let me bring you over to the chart to see what this looks like in action. This is the chart for the full moon. So all of those transits kind of culminate towards this because this is the chart for the 9th. So popping over to the thing again, we're here. This is when the full moon happens. So all of these have perfected already, but very close around it. So we should be able to get a really good image of them. Just know it still counts. Yeah, it's really nice that it shows the date and what's happening, right? So really cool. It looks good on your phone too if you go to the website. So highly recommend it. It's a free website and you can support them. On the bottom, it's like buy them a coffee. So if you wanted to do that, you absolutely could. Transitviewer.net. They also do planetary hours. Up here, I use this all the time when I'm looking for planetary hours. If you get into that kind of thing, I use that just off the cuff because I have an Android phone. And so all of the apps that would do planetary hours don't make Android versions of their apps. Time Nomad, if I had an iPhone or if I wanted an iPhone, Time Nomad is one of my favorites. And I think that one also does planetary hours. So if you have an iPhone, I recommend that app. If you don't and you're looking for an alternative, I recommend planetaryhours.net. Cool. So let's look at this full moon. How do we know it's a full moon? Because the moon is exactly opposite of the sun. So we have the sun at 16 degrees of Leo and 59 minutes and the moon at 16 degrees of Aquarius and 59 minutes. They've got this red tug of war rope between them, which means they are opposite each other, which you can totally see they're 180 degrees away from each other. We have a full moon because of this. The sun is able to light up the moon in its entirety. If the earth were to get in the way, that would be an eclipse, but it won't. Not yet. That will be next month when the sun comes into Virgo and starts approaching these two, which of course it's not going to show me the north node and the south node at the same time. These two little horseshoes, that's when we know we're around an eclipse. So next month, we're going to have a new moon in Virgo that's not an eclipse. Then we're going to have a full moon in Pisces that is a lunar eclipse. And then we'll have a second new moon in Virgo that will be a solar eclipse. I believe that's how it goes. So that's what we're looking forward to next month, all which is to say, not an eclipse this time, so don't worry about that. Gabe, Android is a desert for Astro apps. It really is. And AstroGold, yeah, AstroGold's been doing some stuff with their monetization recently too, so that would be a thing. On Android, I literally just go to websites and I save them to my home screen. That's how I function on an Android. But it works. It works really well. And I have like all my AstroSeek is there. So it's kind of convenient. All right, cool. Let me just catch up really quick. We have 2 questions in the queue. If you guys have questions, post them. We'll drop them when they're relevant. You are amazing, Amber, and appreciated. Cool. So we're looking at our lovely full moon in Aquarius. And we think to ourselves, okay, this is a full moon in Aquarius. General things to think about Aquarius: it's an air sign and it's fixed. So, fixed air stuff. Air is more intellectual, it can be more social, it can relate to communication and technology a little bit more. All that stuff that kind of lives in the mind space happens in air signs, right? There's more to it, but that's something we can think about since we're more focused on our personal experience of it right now. And so with a full moon in Aquarius, we're going to get a full picture, right? Everything's lit up. We can see it. So this is a really great time with Aquarius being a fixed air sign. It has this really great ability to have some foresight, to have a unique way of thinking, to go out of the box, to zoom out to get the entire picture and get like the whole strategy so that you can zoom in and get the pieces right. One of my favorite stories that reminds me of an Aquarian perspective was when I was working at Disney World. We all got to hear this story about when the Haunted Mansion first opened, and they were looking for the perfect color for this creepy house to have. And this guy focused so hard on making the perfect creepy color, and he painted the whole haunted mansion, and he was an imagineer, right? So this was his job. And he went to one of his higher ups and he was like, ta-da, look what I did. And they were like, cool. But look at it. If you paint the whole house this color, this amazing creepy color you made in the zoom in format, it's going to make the whole house look pink. So that's not really scary. And so if you think about the whole picture and the way something works on the whole, you'll have that bird's eye view, that perspective of what am I working with? And then how can I zoom in, sort of top down instead of bottom up type thinking. So this is a really great opportunity for you to be able to zoom out and say, what have I been fixating on? And how can I take the broader perspective, kind of pull my head up a little bit, look around, see what I'm working with, see if there are like even easier avenues to approach something, more resources that you didn't realize were there. Sometimes we have these moments where it's like, I have to do it this way. And then my husband does this for me a lot. He has a lot of air in his chart and I have like none. So he'll be like, or you could do that. And it's this simple, it's such a simple thing that I'm like, oh, that would save me days of time. Yes. And then I do it and it's easy and it's just like repeatable and all this great stuff. So, one of the things you can think about with this Aries full moon, and I do have a full video coming out later this week. If you're signed up for my mailing list, you will get notified with some extra stuff. Um, is how can we zoom out? How can we get the bigger picture? How can we look around and see what our resources are, not only materially, but socially? Who can help us? Who is the community that we are a part of socially that we are looking to be able to participate in? And how is our individual strength actually a cog in a greater machine that can make society move forward and lead to amazing progress? So, those are kind of things that I think about when I'm looking at a full moon in Aquarius. Baseline. That's just baseline. Now we get to make this even more tailored because this full moon in Aquarius isn't just a full moon in Aquarius. It's one piece of the sky and there's a lot more going on. Even though there aren't a ton of aspects like super close to it, the moon is still in the same sign as Pluto. And we're still paying attention to the bigger picture. Let's be Aquarian here and zoom out and look at the whole chart. So Pluto is still in close aspect to that Saturn Neptune situation, which is still in kind of a really tight aspect here with the opposition with Mars, which is exactly trine again Uranus. Look at this mess, you guys. Almost every planet that is beyond the asteroid belt, except Jupiter, is really close in aspect to each other. That's nuts. So we have to really take that into consideration that these slower moving planets, Mars moves a little bit faster, but it's locking this in, right? It's saying, hey, by the way, I'm giving you an avenue to be heard. It's like the tin can telephone situation. The outer planets are saying something and Mars is giving them one side of the tin can and then directing the other side to us so that we can hear it. And this full moon is also part of that big pattern. It's like I said, separating from it, but it's still by sign participating. So the echo of it is still there. And it's really making all of that picture come together into a form that we may recognize, even though it's not the exact days of these aspects perfecting themselves, it is still where we're feeling the ripples of it. And so we may notice the ripples of it around this time on the 9th, when the full moon brings to light everything that's going on and makes it in a way that maybe we can analyze and make sense of it. So this is the major thing for this week. There is stuff next week that I'm looking forward to. Okay. And I want to point this out before we start going into like, oh my gosh, the malefics are opposite each other. Yeah, it's spicy. But next week, Venus is going to catch up to Jupiter in Cancer, and Venus has triplicity in Cancer, and Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. And there's other stuff going on next week too. But just know there's room for optimism right now. The benefics are also with each other. And they are, in a sense, at least, connected to our cardinal signs here. So they are kind of trying to bring a hinge of balance to this situation, this whole mess right here. So the thing that I am looking at as the queasiness of this week is, of course, Mars. If we also zoom in here, Mars is in the sign of Libra. Pop quiz, if you want to put it in the chat. Does anybody know what planet rules the sign of Libra? I'm going to give you like 3 seconds while I catch up on the chat. If you want to put it in, feel free. Does astrology show when a new spirit guide would show up? I'm going to answer that in a minute, just so I make sure I stay on topic, but I can answer that. Be on a road trip over the full moon. Oh, nice. Okay, so Saturn does not rule Libra, but really cool. Saturn is exalted in Libra. So you're not totally wrong. It's a different form of support from Libra for that planet. Venus rules Libra. So Venus is the planet that rules the sign of Libra. And so if Venus rules the sign of Libra, and we also know this might be easier. Does anybody know which planet rules Aries? I'll give it like 3 seconds. I know it's not a ton of time, but the planet that rules Aries is, yes, Shauna, Mars. Yay, look at that. Rocio, you know too. Cool. Yes, everybody got it right. Mars. So if Mars is in the sign that is opposite of his home, do you think he's happy there? Unfortunately, no. So Mars, and again, there's this there's not a lot said in ancient texts about planets in what we call detriment, the opposite sign to their domicile. There's a lot said about them being in fall. Mars is not in fall. Mars was in fall last year while he was in Cancer. He's over it now, thank God. But Mars is in detriment. So he doesn't really do Marsy things well here. So the opposite of his comfort zone. And at the same time, he is opposing Saturn, who is in the sign of his fall. If Saturn is exalted in Libra, then the opposite of exaltation is fall. And that means that Aries is Saturn's fall. So Saturn is not happy right now. This is not a good look for Saturn. Saturn is retrograde. Saturn is fall. Saturn is opposing the other malefic. It's a mess. And Saturn is the one who rules our lunation. Saturn rules Aquarius. So when we're looking at Aquarius and we're thinking of all these things that we can do, we have to make sure that we're also saying that this zoom out we're doing may zoom out onto stuff that's kind of broken. So we may find that what we've been working with is not the most efficient way to move forward. And so a big project of this full moon may be, hey, how can I find better tools that actually can go the distance with me rather than this broken system or broken scenario or broken environment that's not conducive to growth and progress? It may be that we are outgrowing a certain zone, whether that's a comfort zone or whatever it is. You may find that you've outgrown it and that this is a time now where perhaps Mars is saying, hey, time to bust out of the box a little bit and move forward. Mars, of course, is moving forward. Thank goodness. We do not have to deal with Mars retrograde this year. We are done with that. That's over. You did it already. So don't worry. That was last November through February of 2025. So you're set. But that is what we're looking at. And of course, that queasy feeling, of course, is Mars being sort of pulled down by Saturn. And then that fluid feeling of Neptune. It feels to me like an anchor that can't find the bottom of the ocean. So it's just this heavy thing that's like dangling around and is still dragging you back. So That's the image that kind of comes up when we think archetypally about these things. So ask yourself, what ball and chain or what anchor are you dragging that is not mooring you to shore? It's not doing anything for you, it's only weighing you down. If you have something like that, how can you maybe reel that back in and find a better way forward and find a port that you actually can anchor down in and find a place that actually does feel conducive to what it is that you're working with? So those are some things that we can think about this week as we navigate this full moon in Aquarius that is ruled by Saturn, who maybe just needs a hug but is not ready to accept it. So that's some stuff that we're talking about with that. So really quickly, do we have any questions specific to this full moon in Aquarius or anything I just explained? Madwin says you're a Libra sun with Venus as your time lord this year. That's nice. Cool. So your sun is also activated this year. That's pretty nice. Because I don't know your rising sign and stuff, and I can't see your whole chart, I don't know how to go into super duper detail about that. But if you wanted a consultation, I know your birthday is coming up in like 2 months. So that would be fun. And I would definitely review that with you, because that means that you're going into a Mars year after that when Scorpio gets activated. Fun stuff. I prefer Scorpio, but that's because I'm a Scorpio rising and moon. It's my native space. Cool. Every time I think of Mars, I see the actor Lucy Lawless, by the way, who played Aries in Xena. Never mind, that is not Lucy Lawless. His temperament and actions are totally what feel well, yeah, because Aries in this situation is the Mars equivalent deity. So yes, that is a very good archetype to imagine, Sarah. Perfect. Also, Xena was fantastic. Yeah, I love the analogy of Saturn needing a hug too. But again, Saturn kind of has a hug. It's got like rings and stuff, but they never touch. So it's just, we need a little bit, we need words too as well. I don't know. Yeah, cool. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen because that's pretty much the overview I wanted to give about that. And now we've got the rest of the time. Any tips for the trip, for an Aquarius full moon trip? Everything I said should still apply. Just make sure you're looking at all of the roads, all of the ways forward. Mercury is going direct on the 11th. So at this point, if we look at Mercury, Mercury is still retrograde. So just make sure that you are prepared for things to still be a little bit bumpy, or to take detours if you need to. Give yourself plenty of time so that you have the ability to be patient. That's that's my way of cheating the system. Is if you want me to be patient, then I need to have plenty of time. And so that's what I would recommend. Saturn equals the spicy kitten who resists the scritches at first. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I like that analogy too. Cool. Okay, so someone had asked, can astrology show you when a new guide is going to come in? I want to say yes and no. And the reason I'm going to say yes and no is like, yes, but it's not going to be like, this is when a guide comes in. There's not a planet that specifically says guide. There are transits, though, that you go through things. And when you're going through something, that's when guides typically tend to come in. So we can see when changes in life are coming up. And in those changes, you may encounter a new guiding energy to help you navigate that transit or that space or that time of your life. So if you were looking to see when a guide was coming in, or when a guide did come in, we would look at, when did something go on in your life that was really big, or when did you need support during a transition in your life or a change or something, where that guide would show up. So we can find it, but nothing is designed for that, at least especially in ancient stuff. So yeah, I hope that helps with the question about guides. Astrology can do pretty much anything. It's really cool. But you have to know the way to sort of look at the chart. If you look at it this way and you look at mundane, it's going to say one thing. If you look at it this way and you're looking at natal, it's going to say another thing. Lots of commonalities in between, but the nuance makes a difference. Yeah. So with the benefics coming together next week, would it be a good time to do a manifesting ritual? So it depends on what you're manifesting. The answer to, is it a good time to manifest, outside of eclipses is always, what are you manifesting? Typically, yes. By normal standards, the benefics come together on the 12th, which is the day after Mercury goes direct. So we've got that going for us. During that time, though, Saturn and Uranus will be in a close kind of sextile, as they already are. So we just keep an awareness that if you're manifesting something, you want to make sure you're actually, and I actually say this, I just did the planning for next week. So Rocio, this is perfect because there is plenty of room for fortunate events. There's plenty of room for optimism and manifesting and hope, but you want to make sure you're ready to actually take the actions to get you there. This isn't just a, bippity boppity boo situation, right? We're not in a world where we bippity boppity boo. We are in a world where we imagine it, we make it tangible, we make it visceral, we make it something that we can absolutely feel, we make space for it, and then we go towards where we can to make it actually come in. So if you're manifesting, be as practical as you can be. Fun fact, I have a practical manifesting guide on my website. It's a free download. So if you go on my website, it's like for the right underneath the main title of the page, it says download the practical manifesting guide. You put your email in, and then as soon as you hit enter, there's a little tiny link that will show up to download straight from that website. So it's not going to come in like an email or anything. It's right there, so you can have it immediately. And it is a practical manifesting guide. So yes, for practical manifesting, I would say so. This is where the opportunities come up and they say, are you ready? And you get to say yes. And then you start living the lifestyle of the thing that you wanted to have. So just making sure that whatever it is that you're manifesting, you are ready for all the facets of it. You are ready to be that person who has that lifestyle. So I would say this week, spend some time thinking about, this is one of my favorite manifesting questions. If I had what I want, what would I have to give up? What would make me unhappy about that? And just really think about, like, what are the pros and cons of having that lifestyle? Do the pros outweigh the cons? Epic. Go for it. If they don't, modify. Modify so that you can decide, well, if this is what I have to compromise, then I'll do this and still be happy. So that way you can have everything you want. Yeah. So, Rocio, let me know if that feels like a good answer or if you want some more. If you want some more on that. Shauna, you heard Zelda coming in. Zelda has come into her bed and they do need their nails done. So we just got our electricity basically redone. We got some lights replaced and I have so much more light in this house. It makes me so happy, but I can see fluff balls everywhere now. Cool, Rocio. I'm really glad. Jenny, yay, thank you. My website is there for you guys, and I made the manifesting guide for you guys. And I hope that you like it. It's from my very earthy perspective on manifesting. Yeah, so really excited that you're excited. That makes me happy that I'm doing something of value. Jenny says, thank you for answering. It's really interesting. I had a feeling it had more to do with transition than a planet, but had nothing to base it off of. Yeah, of course. It's usually a both and situation, right? Astrology will be like, hey, here's the time for something. And then the world will be like, here's the thing. So you get to have kind of a both and situation. I just did a video yesterday on like free will and astrology and the fate of astrology. And it's like, here are the ingredients. Now do something with them. And that's kind of how it comes in. Meg, hey, great to see you. Awesome. I don't think I have any more questions. Cool. All right, awesome. So, how are you guys doing? This is a great opportunity for us to just chat for a bit on how things have been going for you. Do you have any questions about Mars coming into Libra and trining Uranus and opposing Saturn and opposing Neptune and trining Pluto? That's a lot. The skit for this week is already posted to give you sort of a vibe of how that kind of feels. The reason I do the planet skits is because it's a conversation between the planets. And so you can kind of catch the vibe of what you might encounter in the week, but in a very relatable way where you can see it. And then I give some advice at the end. I recorded that like 2 weeks ago, so I forget what the specific advice was. But if I were to give advice today, it would just be to make sure you're giving yourself time to breathe. Make sure you're giving yourself plenty of time. The one thing that I would thinking about myself and how I know myself, I'm going to give myself plenty of time to do things this week so that I do not feel pressured or rushed, because that is what sets me off the most. If I'm going to have a meltdown, it's because I feel like I don't have enough time to do something. I'm feeling pressured or I'm feeling rushed. And so for me, best remedy for that, especially with all this Mars energy that may have us dealing with other people, is to make sure I give myself plenty of time. And so the best spell you could use for this, here you go, is one moment, please. Whether you're saying it to yourself, to the world, to a person in front of you, one moment, please, and just command that space. Embody there is no pressure, there is plenty of time. All of those things can be really helpful. And if you need to be with someone else where you need to sort of manipulate a situation using a magical spell, the spell is one moment, please. And then they can sit and wait and give you your space. So, um, Meg, things have been really well. I feel like the shoe will drop. Thanks, anxiety. But I am being water, not a boulder. Okay, I'm going to return to a rant that I did not so long ago when I too was expecting another shoe to drop. And I decided the good thing is the second shoe. So the second shoe's already dropped, Meg. Good is what you can stand on. If you're off balance, you're on one foot. So the second shoe hasn't dropped yet. Obviously, if you're feeling balanced, then you have both feet on the ground. That would be the second shoe. So there's no other shoe to wait for because you are balanced. You're standing and you're fine. So I hope that mindset helps. It helps me a lot because then when I do feel off balance, now I can start waiting for that second shoe, because there's no way that I would be, feeling off balance if I were sturdy and both feet were planted on the ground. I mean, okay, sometimes because my balance is terrible, but the analogy still works. So I hope that helps. The second shoe has already dropped, because you're standing and feeling sturdy. So you deserve that. Also, you absolutely do deserve that. Yeah. Yeah. See, you have balance. So totally both feet are on the ground with that one. It makes more sense. Cool. Yeah. So as we're waiting for any more questions or anything, the 6th, which is Wednesday, is when Mars gets into Libra. Mars will be in Libra for a bit of time for the rest of the month. Goes into Scorpio in, good Lord, takes a bit of time, on the 22nd of September. So we have the rest of the summer, because it's the same day as the equinox that Mars will do it, of course. So we have the rest of the summer with Mars in Libra. And that means that Mars is going to be at first interacting with that whole outer planet cluster. You fill in the second word there. And it's going to be okay. Honestly, if you are content with the world as a whole right now, I'd be like, okay, you might run into some stuff that irritates you. If you're not content with the world as a whole, challenges to society may actually feel like a good thing. It depends. How counterculture do you feel right now? um, Cool. Jenny, it's been a good week. I have been doing some practices from Emily's self-paced course. Amazing. And you've been really enjoying all aspects of it. Good. Emily has amazing courses on her website. We both do some courses, but she is much more prolific with the courses than I am. I'm thinking about doing some more. It's just much more fun to me to talk to you guys instead of to a camera. So I tend to do a lot here. Yeah. You think it's funny that Mars leaves Libra just as Libra season is starting. Sarah, it's a great coincidental point. Yeah. Mars skedaddles just as the sun comes in. And of course, Libra, ironically, is not necessarily the sun's favorite place to be. The sun is exalted in Mars's sign of Aries. And so opposite of that would be the sun in fall, which is cool. For the Northern Hemisphere anyway, we get that lovely little play on words. It doesn't necessarily mean anything bad if you were born in Libra season. It just means that the sun now is losing its daylight. So we have a little bit more darkness than we do daylight. And so for the sun, that's like the whole MO is to bring light. So if it doesn't get to do that, they like to say, well, not doing its best, not in its best condition, which is okay. It's just a part of the year that we always have. Yeah. Yeah. Lots of really good analogies coming out of today already. I like it. So, does anybody else feel into the energy of this week? Do we want to play some psychic games and see how you feel? Um, Question from Kristen: is KL, that's me, coming down for the modified sacred spaces? Okay, so here's it's not a modified sacred spaces. I want to make sure that's pretty clear. What's going on is, do we want like a full statement on the sacred spaces thing? So we tried so hard, you guys. Anybody who was at Sacred Spaces Getaway in Tahoe, we had such a good time. And then we felt like the energy was starting to get really weird. So that's why we did Sacred Spaces Getaway, to make it a little bit more close knit, to make it something that was a little bit more spirituality 201. And when we tried to do Sacred Spaces the way we had done it before, it felt weird. The energy was off. And so we were like, okay, well, let's let the event itself be our omen here. If it goes smoothly, then we know we're on the right track. It's great. If it fights us, then there's something we need to pay attention to, right? Like, that's how life works. If something is fighting you, it's probably saying, look around, you've got tunnel vision. This isn't the way to go. Find a better way. And so what we're doing, or what happened, was we had a smaller amount of time to make everything work, and none of the resources were showing up. So in the end, we felt like you could either set an event that feels like a party popper, or the big event that we want to throw that has so much value to it. But even the venues were not available. The price points were not working with our means. Everything was not working. And so what we decided to do was not hold that event, because something felt off about it. Also, the astrological timing was not my favorite. And so I decided, a little bit on top of everything else. So like, maybe it's more of a safety thing, of an energy thing, of allowing people to to manage their own resources and putting those towards different means, because that can become a boon, right? How many times have I invested in something and it's like, oh, that's not happening, but now this money can go towards the thing I need it to go to. So I imagine there's a couple situations of that as well, where we were not able to make sacred spaces happen. And so Emily, Rebecca, and I are not coming together to do this event that way. There's a full statement on sacredspacesgathering.com, but Rebecca is holding an event for Twilight Lantern. So this is a Twilight Lantern event. It's not specifically a Sacred Spaces affiliated event. It's Rebecca's Twilight Lantern event. As far as that Twilight Lantern event, I do not think I will be at it. But for everybody who is going, I hope you have a fantastic time. So that's sort of what happened. It's not my favorite thing. I wish everything would have just worked out smoothly and gracefully, but we would be hypocrites if we didn't pay attention to the energy, and if we didn't pay attention to the signs, and if we didn't actually follow the advice that we would give other people. And so rather than trying to force something and perhaps end up with something that was not beneficial to the people around us, we decided to do this. And this is how it's sort of unfolding. So again, my apologies that it's not as convenient as we would have liked it to be. But I think that it was telling us what needed to happen, and we obeyed and we listened. And I hope that it worked. I believe that it will, and I hope that it does work out to everyone's benefit in the end. You've been exhausted and drained this week, Sarah. I'm sorry. Hang on, I'm going to catch up on some stuff here. Sarah had a core pattern reading and was curious, astrologically, is it possible to see it in a chart? So when you say core pattern, can you explain to me a little bit more about that, Sarah? I know that's open-ended because you don't know. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not really sure. I mean, because core pattern is very much like personality shapes and archetypes and stuff. Yes, we can probably build on that with astrology. But from my experience with core pattern readings, I've seen them go in some different directions, and I don't have a lot of structured understanding of core patterns to be able to make a very clear comparison. Sarah, you've been exhausted this week and drained. So you're being more intentional with your resting. I love that. You've been working on the astrology workbook. Yay. Yes. So for everybody who's wondering, the astrology workbook that I recommended, and it could use some updating because this is from an earlier time than the way Project Hindsight brought to more things to awareness. So it doesn't include Hellenistic techniques as much, but it is by Demetra George and also Douglas Bloch. And so it's astrology for yourself. And it's literally a workbook that gets you acquainted with your chart. And so you get to like fill it out and kind of just get a really nice foundational understanding of your chart. If you're like, I don't need to learn all of astrology, I just want to know how to look at a chart, at least my chart, and make it make sense. And then you'll decide if you want to learn more astrology from there. This is a nice place to start. And then it's probably going to make you want to learn more. And if so, I'm here. I love educating that kind of stuff and explaining it. So yeah, that's a really great gateway drug for astrology, to be perfectly honest. I recommend it. And it's by one of my favorite mentors. So fantastic. I hope it's been really helpful. I hope it's been really fun, Sarah. I'm glad that it's working out. Yeah. Yeah, Amber, right on. Thank you so much. Shauna, I really appreciate the integrity you three continue to exhibit across so many platforms. Thank you. We are trying and we have a lot of feelings. So we try really hard. And sometimes, it got to a point where we were trying too hard. And this is actually something I owe to my mom. I remember my mom had this uncanny ability when I was a kid where we ended up on, I call them goodwill trips, because we were not trying to bring Christianity to anybody. They were mission trips. We had a mission. We were going there to bring clothing and toys and Beanie Babies to underserved people, whether they were travelers in Bulgaria or orphanages in other places like Romania. We actually helped rebuild a whole village in Romania. That was really cool. But we would end up in these places, and my mom, we weren't affiliated with the church. People just found my mom and were like, hey, can you help us? And she was like, yeah. And we would go there and it would work. And there was one time where she was trying to make a trip happen and it just kept fighting her. And she's like, I want to do this. I want to help the people. I want to do it so bad. But it kept fighting her. And she was like, you know what? I need to let it go. It's fighting me too much. When she let it go, another opportunity came up. And it was this amazing opportunity where we got to make a massive difference. And I learned something that day. When something is fighting, maybe it's because that's not the path. Sometimes you fight through stuff, right? It's not always the path of least resistance. But if something is fighting you hard every time you try to do it, and it's like making you feel less, and it's making you feel put down, and it's, getting in the way of other things and actually causing disruptions in your life, yeah, look for another way, because you deserve to also be happy. And so we wanted to do it that way as well. We wanted to make sure that we were honoring this. We were going to let this event be sort of our omen, but it decided to give us an early notice. So we were like, you know what? We get it. We're fine. We will accept and we will pay attention. Yes. So cool. Aaron Vogel felt very Chiron and node activated. So Aaron channels those things. Aaron is an incredible astrologer. And Aaron also is trained in other modalities. Just like I use astrology, but I also use integrated energy therapy, and I also use theta healing and all these things that are separate tools from astrology. And you probably already know this, Sarah. I'm not trying to undermine what you're already aware of, but for everybody else, core pattern is a different modality. So it is its own thing. So we would be trying to draw connections and parallels between two separate modalities that are not natively connected. So yeah, Aaron is fantastic. Highly recommend. My reading with Aaron was fantastic. Cleared up so much for me. Helped crush a ton of doubts that I'd been having for years. We have a podcast episode with Aaron that I think we replayed it recently. Every once in a while, when one of our trips is over a podcast week, we will replay one of our interviews with other people. And Aaron's episode is one of our favorites to share because they're incredible. Aaron is super fantastic. Highly recommend, like I said. So yeah, check out that episode. And with that episode, you'll find ways to connect with Aaron. I'm really pleased that Aaron has told me multiple times they still get a ton of clients from our podcast. And they said that you guys are actually some of their favorite clients. So to me, that's a huge compliment. And I am honored to be the person that gets to be around you guys. It just says a lot about the community that we build and how amazing you all are. So thank you. And just know that your amazingness is appreciated across the board. So Yeah, I actually got to hang out with the first time I met Aaron, it was at Convocation with Gabe. We were in Denver, and the magic community there was not my favorite. So for a lot of the weekend, we actually avoided the hotel, but that was really cool because I got to get to know Gabe on an even deeper level and Aaron on a deeper level as well, and it was wonderful, and I value that a lot. So yeah, look at all of the colorful hearts. Thank you, Amber. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Yay. And we have about 10 more minutes. This has been a really nice conversation. I appreciate you all so much. Um, Again, if you have questions about astrology, about folk magic, about healing modalities, about theology and mythology, I kind of just cover the whole ninth house in my passions. So that makes me a really great resource that I can share with you all the things that I've been curious about. Um, but yeah, feel free to ask if there's stuff that you wish I posted more on social media about, like topics or series of posts. Let me know. I'm here for you. Like my whole thing about showing up here is for you to get value out of it. Fun fact: my mom's initials are KAV, and so when I was born, I had to have the same initial, so I wouldn't just be Kathy Jr. I was Crystalline Amber Vitovich because of Kathy Ann Vitovich, so I was KAV. And when my mom started her own company that ended up being wildly successful, she decided KAV couldn't stand for her anymore. It stood for keep adding value. And I was like, you know what? I like that. I am KAS now, or KLAS, which would be class. But also, the idea of continuing to add value is really important to me. So anything I can do for you guys that, isn't a drain on my energy, which typically it wouldn't be if I get to talk about this kind of stuff, I'm here. I'm absolutely here. One of the clients I'm working with right now in my magical client work, I'm doing some work on their behalf to help with more visibility and stuff. And so one of the ways that I am magically making myself a good vessel for that is every day when I do work for them, when I do the magical ritual that I promised them I would do, I'm also making sure that I show up. And so I am looking for more inspiration of what you would like to see on social media and things that you would like to share with your friends so that I can be a good vessel for this kind of thing on behalf of my client. So I am very open to ideas at this point because this amazing community is everything to me. And if there's something I can do to help you find even more people in this community or to invite even more people into our space, I want to do that. I want to do that a lot. We need this right now so much. And if I can support it, I'm 100% in. So if you guys have ideas, you can put those in the chat. You can put them in the comments of my posts that already exist, however you want to. But yeah, I'm there. I'm in. I'm here for you. You really enjoyed seeing the pictures from the workshops. Yeah, that was really fun. Actually, if you tip up here, way up there, that right there is the astrolabe we made. And if you know me, you know that I have actual brain damage when it comes to math, like really. So I went there in part because I would be in person learning some of the math that it takes to do astrology. And I, dang it, did learn everything. Special shout out to Jen's Art and to Cam because they took the time with me to actually make sure that I understood the concept. So that astrolabe up there, I know exactly how it works. I know the math and the formulas and everything that you need to be able to make that thing work. And I'm so excited about it. And one day I do plan on passing that on to our people in the Modern School of Ancient Wisdom as well. If you're looking to study with me in like a super deep way, Modern School of Ancient Wisdom, Patreon is where we do that stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed being there. It's so nice to just be in those spaces of learning. I have so many opportunities set up. I'm going to be doing even more. I'm doing a year-long course on the three books of occult philosophy coming up. So I'll be able to share with you more on magical theory and practice. I'm actually looking at getting a master's certificate in world religions from Harvard. So more on that to come. And yeah, I'm never going to stop learning. So you can count on me to be here to be excited with you as you want to learn more things too. And I will be sharing it the whole time. Um, yeah, it was odd. Denver's a nice city to. Detroit was where we were for that one. Yeah, it wasn't. I've never been to Detroit, and I actually really enjoyed being able to get out and look at Detroit. Yeah, it was so nice. You took us to a lot of really cool places, Gabe, which I appreciate. Um, yes. Oh, Rocio, you're really nice. Thank you for saying that. Um, They gave me happy camper vibes. Me too. I was a happy camper. Yeah. So on that note, if you like traveling and going places and learning things, there are still openings on all of our trips that are opening up for well, there's still 4 open trips for Thailand in 2025. If you want to go in September, it's not long from now and you can just jump in if you want to. Excuse me. Or we have trips opening up in 2026. So far, we've already announced Peru and Greece, and there's one more to come. And you can check those out on the link that will be in the description of this video if you want to travel with us. We definitely have global camp vibes on those trips, and I love them very much. Um, Made you do some research on sacred geometry and how to use it in everyday life. Yes. The cool thing that I got to learn through sacred geometry in this context was that in those flowers of life patterns, you can derive all of the plutonic solids, which are the same shapes that make up the traditional aspect patterns of the trine, the square, the sextile, and the trine, square, sextile. What am I doing? There's another one, I'm sure. But they're all in there, all of them. And that video that I made shows you how they all show up if you connect certain dots within that. Yeah. It's also all the same as the D&D dice, by the way. Those are the platonic solids. So if you've ever looked at D&D dice, Dungeons and Dragon dice, you've got like your D4, your D6, your D20, those kinds of things. Those are the platonic solids. And I was geeking out about it all weekend, but I was the only one there that played D&D. It was kind of sad. Yeah. We are going to be recording another Alchemist Inkwell podcast today. I'm glad you guys liked the one from last week so much. That was really fun. And we are going to have, I am pretty sure we're going to have an interview in August that I am very stoked about. So keep an eye out. That recording should happen on the 18th, which means that Thursday should be the time that it launches. And I will give you more as it is more locked in, but I'm so excited about it. I'm very excited about it. It's a really excellent guest. So that'll be really fun. Yeah. And if you guys have topics, we have Emily and I both have Patreon tiers where you can tell us stuff that you would like to see more in the podcast. You get early access to the podcast, all that stuff. So Amber, you are crushing it with the links here. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm excited too. Again, the whole idea is to give you guys as much value as possible. Yes, you can do so much with gaming. It's so great. Yeah. So I thought you were talking about, I got a new fidget toy this week and it's really giving me life. I love these things. You should see the assortment of fidget toys I have at this desk. It has gotten wild. But yeah, so we've got a couple minutes left. I hope you guys are doing great. Again, if you have anything that you want to see more of on my social media that I can help you with, I'm open to inspiration. That sounds great to me. Yes. It's really good. Reframes how I view my anxiety. Yay! That's good. That is good. Yeah, one of the cool things they did was the compass I got to use to make the flowers of life. They actually bought us all compasses, like the metal compass. It's so magic. I loved it so much. I will be doing more work with Kaylee coming up. Kaylee is the location that I had that camp at, so I'm looking forward to doing more with them. Yeah, thank you all for being here today. This wouldn't happen without you. I would just be sitting here sad and alone. And so it's much better with you guys here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, glad to be here with you guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic week and I will stay connected on Instagram. Again, I just like talking to all of you. So you will see that I interact as much as I can in comments and things as well. Hopefully we will see you there. Have a great week to all of you. And oh yeah, if you feel like it, this would be a great time to share the live or comment on it once it's posted or whatever. Just helps other people see it so we can make more friends. I love that too. Yeah. Amber, I appreciate you so much. Cool. Well, with that, I will go ahead and give you just 2 minutes of your day back where you can go and make some magic. And hopefully, like I said, be gentle with yourself this week. Give yourself extra time. Remind yourself you have plenty of time. There is no pressure. You are epic. And I absolutely know you're going to do incredible with whatever comes your way. So thank you, everybody. I'll see you soon.